Now, here's the host of Good as Gold, Nick Grovich.
Hi, today you've got Don Gause. Nick's out of the office this week. For those that don't know me, I travel a lot buying coins, so I get to see and meet with people in their homes, offices, their banks. Every week I probably meet with 15 to 20 people. Well, that's a little low. Probably 20 to 25 people in a good week, and in a typical year, I might buy $20 million worth of coins. So if you have any questions, I still think Nick knows a lot more about coins than I do, but I do know quite a bit. You can call in here and ask at 602-324-1510, or if you're outside Arizona, 800-293-5366. Again, it's Don Gause. Just a bookkeeping kind of stuff. Today, gold's at $1,072.10, silver's at $14.11, and platinum's at $854 an ounce. All the metals are kind of testing 6-year lows. The dollar is still holding up and getting a little bit softer against the euro. A lot of the naysayers, doomsayers were predicting that when the Chinese yuan or renminbi or whatever they call their currency in the international world became part of the market basket of coins that are currencies, that they would that would kill the dollar. It seemed to have made the dollar stronger in the last week or two. Do I think it's a good time to be maybe looking at your hedging position in gold, silver, platinum, and maybe strengthening your position? Yeah, I mean, it's always best to be buying this type of material as prices go lower. It's always your best chance to make money is not to follow the trends upward, but to swim upstream while things are going down, to be buying while things are going down. That being said, it's getting a little bit harder to buy stuff, so don't put it off too long. The Mint ran out of $50 1-ounce gold eagles last week, so the prices of those have gone up a little, nothing drastic. And there are still plenty of $50 gold buffaloes left that are selling at their normal premiums. And what happens this time of year is they quit making the 2015 coins, start making the 2016s, and if they're running low on supplies, you'll have a little period where the prices will go up because it's hard to buy stuff. So if you're interested, we still have plenty of product that we can sell you, and just call the office anytime at 800-221-7694, and we can give you a quote and a very fair price on any type of bullion coin you'd like to buy. Also, I'd like to thank Jay from Gilbert. He won our quiz this week. I think he got the answer exactly right. Quit trying so hard, Jay. You're a good guy, but let somebody else win once in a while. That's it for that. I in my travels, I do a lot of reading while I'm on airplanes, and I'm reading a new book right now that I just wanted to share with you guys because it just sort of amazed me. And I've shared this in the past with people, but 90% of the people I see that buy rare coins, especially when they're buying rare coins or numismatic material, they're not making money. And even in an up market in gold and silver, when the market was really running, very few people were making money or the type of money they thought they should be making based on the percentage increase in gold while they own their coins. And I just came across this new book that's out right now, and it just shows how things, the more things change, the more they stay the same. The book's called My Adventures with Your Money, George Graham Rice and the Golden Age of the Con Artist. George Graham Rice was before Charles Ponzi and Bertie Madoff. This guy was in the 1920s, and he was kind of the king of the pump and dump. He probably the thing he was best known for was mining stocks, where he'd buy a mining stock and he'd get his brokers all together. They'd run the price of the stock up. He'd sell his position, and then he'd short positions on the way down. And they estimate that in 1925, this guy was worth about $100 million, which is in today's money, about $1.4 billion. So he was very, very good at it. And one of the big things I'm getting out of it are the tactics that he used, it's just kind of funny. Oh, and the other thing I'd like to say is he's the reason the SEC even exists, because back then the stock market was totally unregulated. The coin business, the bullion business, is still unregulated. It's still the Wild West in our business. So it's buyer beware out there. But the stock market was unregulated when he was doing all this, and the SEC came about to go after people like this. I think he was able to retire with his money and just sort of say, well, that's my game's done. But the couple of the things is that are asked in this book is, how to scam smart people? Well, you've got to be pretty smart to have accumulated money to attract a con artist, or to have the money to invest in anything. And one of the things that they talk about is the research that his guys did to figure out who to sell to. And that's one of the things that when I'm on the road and I'm meeting with people, how it just amazes me, the research and the work that some of these guys put into things. I guess, there's a way for people to buy information about you out there that you pretty much can't protect yourself from. If you have a life-changing event like a home sale, a business sale, an inheritance, there's some kind of a database out there that tells people that that's happening in your life. Or you may just call a couple of people up looking for help because you just came into a bunch of money, and you answer a couple of questions, and the next thing you know, you're on 25 different people's mailing lists, and you're getting calls from people who know you better than you think they do, and with great ideas for how you should invest your money. And you just got to be really careful that you do your homework and vet people and understand what you're getting involved in, understand the difference between bid and ask, the spread between what you're paying for something today and what you could sell it for today if the market doesn't even move, and understand your risk. Because the risk is something that everybody's pretty bad about explaining to you. It's an uncomfortable conversation to have with people, what your downside risk is, and a lot of people avoid it. We try at American Federal to make sure that you understand your risk, and basically you understand your risk and you understand your spread. That's one of the things that we really try to work with people on, just so that we avoid a lot of conflict going forward. Well, we're about to go to commercial here, so feel free to call 602-324-1510 or 800-293-5366. When we come back, I'll talk a little bit more about understanding risk. Thank you.
Once again, here's Nick Grovich.
Hi, this is Don Gause standing in for Nick. I wanted to get back on risk. Any investment person that gives you an investment, then they sell it as absolutely risk-free. That's your first clue. You should probably run. There's always risk. There's always opportunity. You just need to understand where you stand in that continuum and understand the downside part of risk. I mean, nobody's infallible, and you should not beat yourself up if you lose money on an investment, because it happens to the best people in the world, and you just sort of have to. At some point, you need some help, and you need to. One of the things that we do for you at American Federal is we do something called CPR. It's a coin performance review. So if you own anything right now, feel free to give us a call at the office, and just go over where you stand and what you have. Give us a list if you have it. There's always the coin market's a little like a pop-up game. There's always something that's hot. And sometimes it surprises me what gets hot sometimes. So when you see enough people and you've seen enough coins, there's always an opportunity to do something. Right now, the market's very hot on modern American coins. That doesn't mean you should be buying necessarily, but if you own them, it doesn't hurt to call up and see if somebody sold you a long time ago for way too much money, MS-70 or Proof 70 silver eagles or half-ounce gold eagles. That part of the market's very, very, very hot right now, and you may be making money or at least be losing less than you would have been in the past. If you don't ask the question, you won't find out. Right now, if you wanted to have a long conversation, call the office and ask for Carl. He knows a lot about coins, and he can go over your portfolio and give you some good recommendations. The office number is 800-221-7694, and you can call after anytime at that number. The biggest thing, and you look at risk and reward. When you're dealing with people, you've got to be able to feel comfortable. You've got to do your research to figure out whether you can trust people. And it's pretty tough because a good con artist can make you feel really comfortable with them in about 10 or 15 minutes. They're good at that. The other thing that this book talks about a little bit is, it's the 20th century and we've had this kind of stuff going on forever, but aren't you better protected against scams and con artists now than you've ever been? Not really. I mean, honestly, if you've got your protection is you can sue somebody, but it might cost you $50,000 to $100,000 to sue somebody. So always factor that in when you get mad at somebody and start thinking about things. It's probably just not worth your effort. A couple of years ago, I saw a gentleman who he had spent $118,000 on coins. He sent me a list that was provided by his dealer, and I assumed that I was going to go write him a check for about $120,000 for his coins. Well, I got to his office, and I'm looking around, and I see a little tiny pile of coins on the middle of the conference room desk in his office, and I mean, from across the room, I can tell that's not $120,000 worth of coins. It's not what was on the list. And basically, that's what they sold him for $118,000. It was worth $1,800. He was a really successful businessman. I was sitting in an office compound that was on several acres that he owned, and he had done very well his whole life. And he looked at me, and the greatest line I ever heard about from somebody that had just found out he'd been cheated was, "Thank God my wife doesn't know about this." Because he was embarrassed, and there wasn't anything he could do about it. And he also understood. He'd been in business for years. He had sued people. He had been in court. He'd had people sue him. He knew that wasn't a winning proposition for him in the long run, that it just wasn't going to give him any satisfaction. He's been a client of mine since then for about 7 years. He's bought a lot of gold bullion that he made a lot of money when it was at $1,800. He's still making a lot of money at $1,100. But he bought straightforward things that really fit what he was trying to accomplish from us, and he's making money at it. And it's a lot of it's timing, but it worked out very well for him. The biggest thing is how can you figure out how not to get scammed? I guess the first thing I tell you, if it's too good to be true, if somebody's promising you huge returns, there's a catch there. I know this is in the coin realm, but my father a long time ago bought real estate investment trusts. They were paying a great return. Well, we all know what happened to real estate business, and the returns dried up pretty quickly. In fact, a couple of the trusts that he was invested in went bankrupt. So he got great returns for a couple of years, and then they went away. The smart thing my dad did was he didn't put all his money into one basket, so it didn't ruin his life because he had made a bad decision. Diversification, again, is one of those big keys in any kind of thing. Next thing I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about were shipwreck coins. And a couple of reasons. There's just a new shipwreck off the coast of Panama that was found. And I was reading a little bit about that also. This ship is supposed to have one of the largest hoards of silver coins and bars ever found. It was sunk in the 17th century. It was a Spanish ship, and it's just going to be pretty exciting. I don't know a lot about South American coins or Spanish coins. So I don't know how that's going to affect that marketplace, but they were talking about the technology of the whole thing, and they've developed ways to find these things. It's based on, shipping logs and figuring out where people are, and then having so much more advanced technology to go search the bottom of the ocean floor. And then on top of that, having these new robots that they can go send down there deeper than people ever could go, and they're very efficient at picking this stuff up off the ocean's floor. So there's a lot of new things happening, and that was where I read about the technology. And the other thing I wanted to get into is the SS Central America shipwreck has been in litigation for years, and that invariably happens with these shipwrecks. Is next thing you know, some government's suing you because it was off their coast and they want part of your money. And maritime salvage law is kind of evolving over time, but the SS Central America has been in litigation. It was a huge shipwreck. 80% of the 1857 S-20 Liberties minted that year, at least that's the estimate, were on that ship when it went down. It caused a financial panic in 1857 because all these gold coins went missing at sea. We've kind of known that this was going to happen. They got through all this litigation, and they're using this new technology to bring up all these great new coins. Well, just about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, we use a service called CCE that gives us ideas on pricing and on populations of coins, auction results of coins. All the large coin dealers use it. Well, in the CCE report, all of a sudden, the number of uncirculated, very nice 1857 S $20 Liberty coins just quadrupled. So there were probably right around 400 or 500 coins that were in uncirculated condition of that one data coin. Now there's around over 4,000 coins in that condition. What does that mean to you? Well, they admitted they have 3,805 uncirculated coins they're bringing to market here in the next 6 months to a year. So what they're doing is they're starting to promote the heck out of those things, and they're very good at promoting. They're very good at what they do. They're very good at selling these coins. So you may actually have a little period of time where prices will be stable or maybe even go up a little bit because they control all the supply. Some good dealers are going to be out there saying, oh, I can get you one of those a little cheaper than they're selling them for. And they'll be out there trying to buy coins in the secondary market at probably a little bit better price than we've seen in a while. In fact, I just sold a couple of those at better prices than I expected to get, to be honest with you, because that coin scares the heck out of me right now. Anytime that the supply quadruples, you normally expect, supply and demand. Supply's up. Unless they can really make demand ratchet up, you're going to see prices going down on those. So what I would tell you is if you own, especially 1857 S-20 Liberties, but anything from any of the shipwreck coins, it's time to give us a phone call. Let us do a little work for you. Find out where you stand. Take a good long look at your risk and reward of continuing to hold those coins. And your timing may be really good to get out of that type of material right now. It's certainly, I just can't imagine that the prices are going to hold up, 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road. It just doesn't make sense that they will. So buyer beware. If you have one of these things, I would really urge you to give us a call at the office, 800-221-7694. Have us do a little bit of work for you. Let us see what we can do to help you. You're better off dealing with that sooner rather than later. Putting stuff off like that is not a good idea. Again, you can call in here if you have any questions, 602-324-1510. Thank you.
Once again, here's Nick Grovich.
Hi, this is Don Gause sitting in for Nick today. Just as we go forward, I just, one of the things I've always seen is most of the people that we run into got involved in coins and bullion because they were nervous about where the country is, where the dollar is, the future, and what they were really looking for was a hedge against the dollar, which of all the metals that we sell, gold is probably by far the very best hedge against the dollar. It's much more accepted as a currency, an alternate currency, than silver or platinum or palladium or rhodium or any of the industrial metals. If you really look at it dispassionately, we've really only had a couple of big runs over the last 30 or 40 years. The first run was totally, gold had been set, the price of gold had been set by the U.S. government for years and years and years. And since 1933, it was illegal for U.S. citizens to own gold. So when they made it legal for citizens to own gold, what's it really worth as you let the free market reign? Well, it's just totally logical that we had a big run where it went up to $800, where nobody really had set a price. Nobody had thought about this. There'd get some excitement behind it. Of course, people think there's nowhere to go but up. You still run into people. They don't lament it as much because gold's finally gone past it. But a lot of people that bought close to that $800 height. And the reason it was hitting an $800 high back then is that was when people were buying like crazy. So it then settled down for 20 years into the $250 to $350 range. And this last real spike, we had a meltdown of the economy in 2008. Nobody knew how bad it was going to be. It certainly was awful. It didn't turn out quite as awful as a lot of people thought it would be, but we still haven't recovered. We're not back to where we were in 2008. We may never get back to where we were in 2008. The real run up to $1,900 really came about because, a lot of wealthy people, a lot of banks, a lot of people were using the euro as a hedge against the dollar while things were melting down. Well, after 2008, you had the euro. At one point in there, we figured out the Europeans had been on bigger spending and borrowing spree than we had been, and they were probably worse off than we were. They still are worse off than we are. And basically, the real run to $1,900 came about because people were worried that Germany was going to pull out of the euro. And without Germany in there, what's the euro going to be worth? Is it going to just be a piece of paper, or is it going to have some real value? So once that got settled, you still have occasional flare-ups where people are worried about the smaller countries that are still in really bad shape, like Greece pulling out of the euro. And I don't think that's going to make the euro fall apart. Germany pulling out would. So we saw the height of gold at $1,900 because of that. Now, fundamentally, nobody's fixed a darn thing in the world economy. All the governments in the world are net debtors. I read something recently that's kind of amused me as we talk about debt in this country, that just recently England just paid off the last of their World War I debt. And, I mean, that's 100 years it took them to do that. I guess, and there's really nobody running for president on either party right now that's really having an honest discussion about government borrowing or paying off a debt or anything else. They all sort of hope that inflation takes care of it at some point, that you're paying things off with lower dollars. They'd look in the long run. I think both parties would love to see people at McDonald's making $50 an hour and paying $20,000 of it in taxes. So that probably works the best for them. And for whatever everybody's saying, the scariest thing is having deflation, where you have to pay back debt with more valuable dollars. That doesn't work in the whole model of things. So, but most people buy gold because they're worried about these things, and anybody that starts to tell you all the other reasons that you need to own it, and they start to talk about numismatic coins, they start to talk about confiscation, they talk about all these other red herrings. And the biggest thing I'd tell you to be worried about is if they keep promising you $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 gold, that what they're really trying to do is make you not realize that they're charging you $1,800 or $2,000 for gold, or maybe even more, because they're trying to make you think about what you're going to make, not what you're paying right now. And the bait and switch kind of thing is really, really rampant in our industry, and some of the people that do that really truly believe it. I can give you a lot of reasons why I don't think that's true. It's just like every time somebody talks about coming to get your gold. Well, the gold they came and got was the stuff that everybody tells you. Well, the pre-33 gold was all confiscated in 33. That's how come there's so many nice coins out there for sale. Most of them have been sitting in bank vaults for years and years and years. So just be really careful with that kind of stuff. If you want to own a hedge, you're better off just owning gold bullion. And when I say that, they're usually in corn form, but you can buy bars, gold eagles, gold buffaloes, cougarans, maple leafs. We can give you the reasons why buying each of them makes the most sense. It all depends on what you want to do. And again, it's very important to understand your spread between bid and ask, and I think it's great to understand how much things have to go up for you to break even, which is real straightforward with bullion. Although there's times when you can do better than that. It's just that's more luck than anything else, or more dealers promoting different types of coins. But we prefer most of our clients, if you're looking for a hedge, you stay with the bullion product. Now that being said, we do think there are some opportunities with collectible coins, and I guess one of the things I would say is you look at risk and reward. Can gold go down? Yes. Can gold go up? Yes. I do believe it'll go up over time, but I'm not going to promise anybody it will. There's a lot of other reasons, a lot of things that things may go right in the world, and you may see people lose interest in gold at some point. I don't think that will happen, but it's not, are you going to be upset that things go right if everything else that you own is doing well and there's peace in the world? Yeah, right. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but we can all wish for it. It's Christmas. You need to make a few good wishes once in a while. But there are some opportunity in rare coins if you have a dealer that you're comfortable with and you feel like that you can trust people. There's a lot of stuff out there that's really rare that most dealers don't try to sell people because, if you've got a room full of brokers, you've got 50 or 100 brokers working for your company, you need to have enough product for them to sell. So you can't go out there and sell coins where you may have a hard time finding 5 or 10 coins at a fair price. You need to find coins that you can find hundreds of them and make your nice profit margin on. That being said, there's a lot of rare coins out there that they've been trading in a pretty narrow band for the last 10 years. They are legitimately rare coins. They have legitimate collector interest that's holding up the value of those coins, and it wouldn't take a lot, whether it's a dealer promoting them or just something in the world to just trip start those and have them start running up in value a little bit. So we can help you with that. There's a lot of opportunities out there to buy things at a very fair price right now that 10 years ago I would have had a hard time even recommending that, but it's an inefficient marketplace, the coin market is. There's not that many dealers that control it. There's a lot of forgotten product. There's a lot of things that are really cool and really rare that and one of the things we've seen over time is that the dealers they promote something for a little while, and then they've sold all they can to their client base, so they have to go find the next thing to promote. And if you happen to own that, when they start moving that marketplace and you bought it at a fair price, there's decent money to be made. The other side of the coin is I wouldn't tell you to buy a rare coin unless you really enjoy it. If you enjoy the history, you enjoy the beauty, and if you want to be a collector, the biggest thing I tell you, understand that you're a collector. Find something that interests you, something you can be passionate about. Whether it's buffalo nickels or proof gold, or there's a lot of different things out there that I have a hard time believing there's a lot of downside risk. I never say there's none, but if you're buying them at the right price, you can get in and have a little bit of fun with something and probably not put a lot of money at risk. And have some fun. But I also would tell you, don't do that until you've gotten your hedging position taken care of in gold, silver, platinum, and don't do it unless you're going to enjoy it. That's the biggest thing. Do your homework, understand what you're buying, and work with people that you trust, whether it's American Federal or there's a lot of good small dealers out there that have very passionate collector bases. That's who we sell the rare coins that we buy to a lot of times. There are people that do enjoy this as a hobby and have a lot of fun with it. It's just that most of the people I run into get talked into it by telemarketing firms that are very high pressure and push people to do things they don't understand at prices that don't make sense. So that's the biggest thing I would tell you. Again, if you own rare coins, even if you own bullion, some of the bullion coins are becoming rare coins. Give us a call at 800-221-7694 and take advantage of our free coin portfolio review, CPR. It really can pay off for you. You may own some things that'll surprise you, and it's best to understand where you are. Thank you.
Once again, here's Nick Grovich.
Hi, it's Don Gause. You can call our office at 800-221-7694, or you can call in if you have a question at 602-324-1510. I wanted to get back a little bit to the book I was talking about earlier. Basically, one of the things that this Graham gentleman used to do is, as he was taking your money, he would blame other people. In fact, he would get onto the side of the people he had just taken your money in the pump and dump operation, and he'd start blaming other people for the problems. He would act like he was the friend of the small investor because he considered himself a small investor, and considering he started with nothing and built a $100 million fortune in the hundreds, he did start out as a small investor. But his favorite people that he'd rail against would be John D. Rockefeller. It was always somehow his fault that the price of your stock went down because he was controlling and manipulating things. And I bring that up because I've been working with Nick for 30 years, and one of the things I see often are dealers that blame other people for the performance of their coins. And sometimes it's really straightforward. They blame Nick Grovich for the problems with the coin market. If Nick would just recommend coins, and he is recommend a small, kind of a small recommendation on rare coins right now, and very select recommendation on rare coins, because the top of the market is moving well, but really it's just the kind of coins most people that we see don't own. But when I say, do they blame other people? For years I'd hear, it's all Nick Grovich's fault that the coin market isn't just robust. And I'd be like, come on, we're a fairly decent sized dealer, but we don't see that many people. In a good week, I see 25 people. Nick, maybe, we maybe talk to a couple hundred people a month. I don't think we've ever been the problem with the coin market. Can't be laid at Nick's feet. And if it was that easy, Nick, we did used to sell coins we used to sell rare coins to a lot of people and made a lot of recommendations to people. We thought we were better than everybody. We worked at a lower margin than most people, and our clients weren't making money. It's why for years and years it was a tough decision, but Nick decided to recommend our clients buy bullion. We don't make as much money selling bullion, so it really wasn't in Nick's best interest to make that recommendation. But it was in the best interest of his clients, and Nick's always, when there's a decision to be made, Nick's always made the decision toward his clients, not himself. He's always been very self-sacrificing that way. Right now, I mean, how many people out there have heard that it's all Chase Morgan's fault that the price of silver has gone down to $14? Well, take a look at the long run. For years and years, silver was trading between $4 and $6, and over a period of about 8 years, we had a run to 20 and back to 7, another run to 20 and back to 14. So it was building for something, and then we ran all the way to $49, and we're back to 14 again. It does feel like we're starting to test lows, and silver, there's a lot of ratio players out there with silver. You look at 75 to 1 gold to silver ratio, a lot of guys will tell you it should be 16 to 1. So silver's a fantastic investment under that scenario. But when you look at it honestly, silver's probably been normal ratio is probably 50 to 60 to 1. And I think I've seen under 30 to 1 a couple of times when we were hitting those peaks at the first time at 20, and certainly at 49, we were probably under 30 to 1 gold silver ratio. And when I mention ratio trades, it's a great way for bullion people to build bigger piles of bullion. Is you watch the ratios, and when the market hands you something, you move from one metal to the other and basically get a bigger pile. And when the ratio goes back the other way, you trade. Right now it says trade from gold into silver. What it really says to me, and I haven't talked about this, but platinum. It's another industrial metal. For years and years, it's traded at about 30% premium over gold. So at gold at 1,072, platinum should be closer to $1,400 an ounce in a normal ratio. Well, what's happening in the world economy right now? Commodities are getting clobbered. We really don't know what's going on in China. If you're worried about our government being honest, you can only imagine what's happening in China. And the world economy really doesn't know. So platinum's at $854 an ounce. It goes into all catalytic converters. At the top of the market in 2008, 50 million new cars were sold worldwide, most of them with catalytic converters. And platinum was at $2,400 an ounce, and gold was at $800 an ounce. That was the wildest part of the market. To me, platinum is the best ratio trade out there right now, and probably your best chance to. And there's always downside risk. I will always tell you there's downside risk. It could go lower. If the economy of the world gets worse, industrial metals will get worse. Oil will get cheaper. Silver will get cheaper. That will happen if things don't get better. But, most people get up in the morning and try to make their life, and people that are wealthy are trying to make more money. They're trying to make the world a better place so that they can make more money. So I'm one of the few people in the coin industry that I guess I'm an optimist. I think in the long run things will get better. So your platinum's a great bet. If things go right, platinum will probably be the metal you're most likely to double or even triple your money on. Whereas gold, if things go wrong, it'll probably go up as a hedge. If inflation takes off, it should be a good protection against inflation. But I think platinum's where you have your best chance to make money right now if you really look at it in an honest assessment of what's going on. So when I say, does your dealer blame other people? For years and years, every time the price of silver goes down, it's because Morgan Chase, the bank, they're shorting silver. They're ruining the market. And then every once in a while, when it's going up, well, they must have bought a lot of silver, so we're all on the same side now. So the sky's the limit. I just read a thing today. Somebody's saying that they think silver's going to $150 an ounce. So, I would love it if it happened, and I'd have a lot of happy clients. I'd be happy, but I have a hard time believing that'll really happen. I mean, I do think it's undervalued. I do think it'll go up, but the guys that are pushing that $150 number out there are usually trying to get you to do something that doesn't make sense today. Like, I can imagine a lot of the guys that are doing the $150 number are selling you Morgan dollars that have $11 worth of silver in them for $25, $35, $40 a coin. And because they're selling them for that price, it's a good time to be a seller of those coins because they're worth quite a bit more than their silver content. But at the top of the market, they were silver coins that were worth their silver content. So buyer beware again. Understand the marketplace. Understand what you're buying and what you're getting into. And don't just look at the upside. Understand the downside and understand what you're paying and what the spreads are between bid and ask. So far, I've had dealers blaming my boss, Nick Grovich, and dealers blaming Chase Bank, Morgan Stanley Chase, and all the rest of the stuff. And then for years and years, I think Blanchard's had some kind of a lawsuit against that. I don't think it's a very serious lawsuit because when you start to get serious with lawsuits, you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I can't imagine they're spending that kind of money. But supposedly they've had a lawsuit against Morgan Stanley and some other big banks for years to beat back this monopoly that's holding the price down. So I don't think anybody could hold the price down forever on something. So buyer beware again. Feel free to give us a call at 800-221-7694. I'm Don Gause. Ask for Don or Carl or any of us at the office. We can help you. And I would urge you to call up and get your coin performance review. Thank you.